Some builders are up to their same tricks. Jeremy Knight, the Knight Group, your favorite Austin realtor. You know, in my live stream the other night, we had Sarah and Ian on, and we talked about some issues they had recently had with a builder. And, you know, I'm seeing a lot of things in the market. In fact, there's a video I'm going to reference quite a bit by KXAN talking about a builder that was terminating on their clients, just terminating contracts. So we're going to talk about some of those things that they're doing. Now, I don't do this just to pile on builders and scare you as a consumer. Really, my job is to help you understand what's going on in the market and maybe be prepared and give you some strategies to defeat these things as they come up. And look, some of these builders are trying very, very hard to get homes closed, and they're not doing this on purpose, but some are still doing some things that are unsavory while posting and boasting new sales records and sales records while not building as many homes. If you've had any of these issues happen to you, drop a comment below. If you're doing a new build, what's the pros and cons that you're running through? The comment section of these videos does help people out a lot, and it is kind of therapy for some people as well that are going through issues. So go through the comments on this and write a comment and read them, because I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of things people are gonna say about buying and building a new build. So what we've seen is two things happen. We've seen builder escalation clauses where they just raise the price on somebody because they say they have an escalation clause. And we'll talk about a scenario where they say they don't have an escalation clause, but they're raising the price on you anyway. We'll talk about that. And the other thing we're running into is just builders finding ways to terminate on a client and then raising the price and selling it. You know, I just had a scenario that I talked about where a home was listed around $950,000. The buyer backed out is what the builder told me. I was actually looking at the home for myself, and it was at $1.225 million, right? So my wife and I are looking at this, and I'm going, I just can't justify, for two reasons. I can't justify this price because this neighborhood is just under $1 million, and this is $200,000 over. Two problems there. Number one, there's no comp. So if I write that contract and hold that contract and move forward with that home, then what we're gonna see is that I might have to make up that appraisal difference. And so that's something that with these prices going up, consumers are running into is appraisal gaps. So that's a video for a whole nother day. But looking at these prices, and they're a lot higher. So these builders are taking homes potentially, it's really tough because I've talked to somebody that this happened to. Now, were they doing it on purpose? Can we actually prove it? Do we have the internal emails? We don't, so it's really hard to sue. In fact, the person that wrote on the Real Migos podcast said that this specific builder, even though they didn't have an escalation clause, came after them 3 weeks before closing and said, we're raising the price $30,000. Now, they can go talk to a lawyer and try to get a lawyer to help fight them, or even their realtor can really try to help fight this. But at the end of the day, you're 3 weeks from closing, the builder's just gonna go, hey, you didn't make closing, you didn't live up to the contract, so we're just gonna go ahead and price this and put it back on the market. That $300,000 difference of what I saw for a home in $1 million price point, you're seeing homes that were under contract for $450, selling now for $600, $650, and that's what some of these builders are doing. In fact, KXAN did a whole video about Braun Homes terminating contracts on buyers right before closing or pulling them back. Now, Braun said these are some of the reasons we're canceling contracts: fraud or deception. So I've seen that too, where a consumer comes in and says, hey, I'm going to buy this as an investment. Builders aren't selling to investors, and then they try to wiggle and write a contract and they're buying it as an investment. The builder finds out and terminates the contract. Verbal harassment. This is something I've been telling some clients, is like, I know it's really frustrating, but if we harass and we're mean to the reps or the higher ups, we have to do it tactfully because they could just terminate the contract for harassment. Physical assault, prejudice, discrimination, disruption of construction. So if you're holding up construction for some reason, that could be an issue. Disruption of production, buyer performing work on the house prior to close, and threatening legal action. So threatening legal action. So if Braun Homes did something and you threaten legal action, they can terminate on you. So some things to think about when you're signing a home with any of these builders. Really important, read the termination section with these builders, because in the termination section says that the builder can terminate on you. And a lot of times what we've seen, like what Braun Homes did, is they terminated some of these contracts, and I'll link the KXAN video so you can watch it. But they'll terminate the contract And Braun is not the only builder doing this. In fact, we saw on my live stream, somebody had this happen with Milestone where they just tried to raise the price on them. But I've had in the past where we get really close to closing and the lender just sends out a letter saying we can't approve this buyer when we have them pre-approved with other lenders, and the builder's lender says, nope, we can't do it. And the builder's just going to put that house back in the market. And in my scenario, my client ended up having to come up with cash. I met with somebody the other day who's a different builder than I had this problem with, which is a different builder than Braun Homes, which this article was written about or this video is about. And they had the same situation where right before closing, the builder's lender just said, forget it, we can't do this loan. And they were pre-approved with other people, and the other lenders are like, we can do this. What is going on? And they almost lost that home, and they had to come up with cash. So these are some things to be aware of. So definitely read the termination in there. Also read the escalation clause, because Sarah and Ian just had this happen with a buyer where it was like the week before closing, and the builder just raised the cost right before closing. But here's the problem with that. If they raise a price on you $30,000 and it's right before closing, you have a very short amount of time to agree to that. If you do agree, you're paying 30 grand more. If you say no, the resale market's tough. So these builders know kind of the situation some of these buyers are in, and they're kind of not doing the right things. Now, this isn't every builder, it's not every situation, so I don't want to scare you with this, but I want you to understand that these things do happen. I would definitely watch this video with KXAN so you can get a little bit better grasp of what happened with these scenarios with Braun Homes. So read those contracts, definitely know what's in those contracts, because those contracts are written by builders. Now you're gonna ask me, Jeremy, well, who can we go to? If you have this issue happen or something happen, really the only thing you can do is go to the Attorney State General and file a complaint, but there's really not a lot. And in fact, the scenario I talked about where somebody was telling me their situation where they tried to terminate on them, that person was actually a lawyer. And I was asking them, so as a lawyer, what do you do? And the lawyer goes, I could have tried to fight it. I can go spend the time to do it. But at the end of the day, it just wasn't worth it. And I think some of these builders are knowing that you might go try to file a lawsuit, but it probably won't go anywhere. It's going to take a while, and the consumer doesn't have access to what's going on behind the scenes. The situation I had is that we found out was that the builder rep was actually going out and marketing that home to other people 2 weeks before we found out that they were going to decline my client on the lending side. So there was definitely something going on there. Okay, and here's another thing that I'm seeing happen with a lot of these builders. You know, you're having a long wait time, you're taking forever to build a home, but as you get down to crunch time, the builder's trying to get all the trades in, they're trying to finish up the property, and you get down to the end and there's some things just not finished on the home. So what they'll do is say, okay, sign all of these things and we'll have the warranty company take care of it after close. Now, this isn't a knock on their warranty companies, but the warranty companies are pretty backed up for the most part. So if you go ahead and sign off on some of those things, like we will go ahead and just move forward. Like let's say you don't have a range hood, or let's say you don't have a microwave, you're waiting for it to come in. That is a problem because it could take a while to come in. And if you're trying to get some of those items fixed later, it might take the warranty company months and months and months to get it done. I just had a neighbor, in fact, come to me and say it took almost a year to get some of the items fixed in their home. So be mindful of that. In my experience, the tradespeople like the construction managers and these people that are working on your home, they really do care, right? They really do want to help you out. So they will try to get people back in. But keep in mind, they're still moving forward trying to close out other homes. So you've no longer on their list of priorities, you know, and I'm not saying anything bad about these people. I work with these people a lot and they really do care, but it might take longer to get those items fixed. You're going to move in and you might even forget about it sometimes. So keep that in mind. Jeremy and I, the Night Group, have you seen these issues? Drop a comment below because this is what I am still seeing. Keep an eye out for a video we're going to have talking about some other things going on in the market. We're going to do kind of a part 2 of this video. Drop a comment. Catch you in the next video.